Want to raise your chess to a new level? Challenge Yourself is an exclusive, innovative experience designed for Chess24 Premium members. Train like a champ, with a unique set of lessons prepared by the coaches of the challengers. Boris Girlfriend and Co. will help you improve your chess. Play versus a champ. Play a Grandmaster each day in Banter Blitz. Take advantage of this incredible opportunity from June 10th. Go Premium and challenge yourself.
Yep. Okay. All right, welcome everyone. We're here for another Banter Blitz session, and should be some fun. So let's get some good games in. As always, I'm going to just play my repertoire. I'm going to put it in the chat. This is the chessable repertoire that I've done, and I'm basically just playing it all the time, and it's been working well. I'm reading only Chess24 chat. Let's get started. So I know that Representativo Ajedrez wanted to play last time and didn't get a chance to, so suerte, amigo. Comenzamos. Alright, so let's play a Sicilian. I'm going to be playing this classical. You've mentioned we should all play both d4 and e4. Any plans for an e4 chessable repertoire as well? Maybe. I don't know. I'm much busier now than I used to be. It's not easy to just dedicate like a whole bunch of hours to a chessable repertoire. Plus, there's a lot of good e4 material already. I think there was the Anish one as well as the Sethraman repertoire, so there's a lot of competition and a lot of people who have already marked their territory, so to speak, but maybe. We'll see what the future brings. I'm not sure. Okay, so White's playing this sort of Maroczy bind-like setup, but in my opinion, this plan that he's playing is the best place for the bishop now is like b3, bishop b2. But the problem with what White has done is that the rook is not supposed to be on e1. White should be playing queen e2 instead and rook on f1, so that after something like bishop b2, and say I go rook fe8, his best plan here is basically to go like queen e2, rook a d1, and then f4, knight f3, and then in a lot of those cases the rook on e1 is just egregiously misplaced, and it's supposed to be on f1 instead. So if here, despite the fact that he has a little more space, I'm reasonably comfortable with my position. I go rook e8, rook a c8, start pushing for either d5 or b5, and it's not that easy for him to prevent. So I think black is quite comfortable here. But it's a different story if he had played with queen e2 instead of rook e1. Then I still think black's fine, but he has to be significantly more precise than what we're representing here. Alright, so rook a c1 is not a very intimidating move. That rook in general is supposed to go to d1. Okay, so f3, let's tuck the bishop away on f8. Maroczy bind is why I quit the accelerated dragon. It feels like it's groveling for a draw. Yeah, well, Maroczy bind is different because A, we don't have, White is able to keep all the minor pieces on the board. You can't trade any of them. And B, your knight goes to c6, which is just completely the wrong square against the Maroczy bind. It belongs on d7. But yeah, so here, black's position seems very healthy to me, but Let's start with queen h5. That's generally a good square, and I can look for some kind of bishop h6 at some point. But yeah, Maroczy bind against the accelerated dragon is good, but the opening is good, but the structure is a bit more complicated, and you should know a little bit about it. So here, for example, I think I can break with d5. So that's one point of bringing the queen over here. It's not my only move, but like now, because e5 is not possible, I think this just works. We'll see if he has some punishment ready for me, but I could have also started with bishop h6 and gone d5 next, but this seems fine. All right, so we'll take this, and I guess he can go knight takes d5. Okay, that is not a good move. Now white's just much worse. He could have played knight d5, rook c8, but here he's just in big trouble. So let's take this one and go knight c5 next. Seems like a good place to start. Get this knight to e4, grab a pawn while I'm at it. I guess he can play queen f3, but yeah, maybe this was careless of me to allow, but I still think I'm doing very well. Like if I just go queen e5, he can try rook f1, but queen e7 and I don't, or rook e7 is probably even better. Yeah, just go rook e7 and I don't, rook e7 he has knight c6. So I'll have to play queen e7, but then I will take e4 next, so that should be fine. I think actually much easier was to have just taken the queen after gf to play knight d3, knight b2, bishop c5, and rook d8. Yeah, that would have done the job. Oh well, I'm still just going to be a clean pawn up here. I think. He's got to try rook f1. I don't know what he's thinking about. You need a London repertoire by me? I don't think I'm going to do a London system repertoire. I'm too principled for such dry stuff. It's not the worst opening out there. I mean, I've even played it a couple times, but it's just, the whole premise is lifetime repertoires. And if you give a lifetime repertoire for white where like black equalizes with absolutely everything he wants, it sort of almost feels like you're a fraud. While if you give a lifetime repertoire where black equalizes in some very specific lines with some very long theory, at some point there you just have to admit you're human, but yeah, I don't know what this guy's thinking so long about. I'm actually noticing that after rook f1, I was thinking queen e7 for the longest time, but he has knight f5. I don't know how much I care. I don't think it's the biggest deal. I can just go queen back to e6 maybe, but yeah, let's see if he finds knight f5. I'll go queen e6, and then, I don't know, maybe his position isn't so bad. You mentioned I have a few students. Are all of these students elite 2200 plus players? No, not all of them. Most of them are, but at the end of the day, I mean, if their money is green, I'm not going to discriminate. Yeah. Okay, so e5 was a mistake. I think he could have tried knight f5. Then it's occurring to me that after queen e6, he might have had queen c3. But now I think I should be able to pressure the e5 pawn and hopefully take it. Yeah, I think I got this under control. And he's running out of time as well, it seems. So e6 is, I guess, understandable, but it's not going to work. I think I can just take it. So hang on. If I take knight e6, queen e6, bishop g7, take knight e6, I can go bishop b2 even. I like that more. Let's just take on b2. I was thinking queen e6, bishop g7, queen b6 in between, but then there will be f7 hanging. What was my favorite memory of the chess Olympiads I played? I don't know. I mean, probably winning the 2 gold medals was a good one. Oh, I should have taken b2. I even was just talking to myself about that, but I wasn't paying enough attention. All right, let's just play a rook ending is fine. He's flagging anyway. winning the 2 gold medals was pretty big. Like, I mean, the first one to just, I don't know, sending Judith Polgar home and beating her in her last professional game, I think would be a pretty big one. So I don't know. I mean, I've had a lot of good experiences. I mean, I'm very proud to have, I think, the highest score of any player in the history of the U.S. team. I have like 80% score or something egregious like that, which of course is partially luck, but I was proud of. I've had a huge amount of success playing for Team USA, so that's makes a few recent developments makes me unhappy. So if the question, if I face Magnus in the World Cup, which would have to be the finals because he's not on my side of the bracket, what would his chances be? I don't know. I mean, it's a short match, and so I guess anything can happen. I would probably put him at maybe like a 10-1 favorite, maybe even higher, but you know, freakish things can happen. I think it would be even harder because he'd be much more than 10-1 in rapid, so I'd have to beat him in classical. But yeah. All right. So this position seems very skeptical for black because
Todos hemos intentado sacar.
of my stronger center and healthy bishop pair. And now the absence of queens will not do black any favors here. He's still just in huge trouble structurally. So I'm just, in fact, I can even put my king on d2 now. That's sort of why I thought to play f3. All right, let's just take this one as fine. And I'm going to go king d2, and I'm going to go c4 and e4 and take all the space. And I have these beautiful bishops, and this is a very pleasant position to play for white. And my king is going to get nice and active very quickly. Next up is like rook fb1. All right, so let's just step out of the way of any knight c5 tricks before they come into reality. And it's nice in an endgame that I can just stick my king on c3 and completely not care. So let's now go e4, take more space. I'm getting ready for perhaps rook to b1 next, and now stuff is falling. Yeah, good game, Representative Hades. So I'll take this one. And I think I can put my king on c4 without worrying too much about him. I don't know, Representative votes. I think that black just has a pretty healthy position there. I mean, you can watch my banter afterwards and what I thought, but I don't think you missed anything in particular. I think I had a healthy position the whole way through. I mean, you're not like worse with white or anything, but it was, I thought, a pretty straightforward game for black overall. All right, so let's go. I have to be at least a little bit careful here. Like if he starts going rook a8 and trading my rook, but I think it's okay. So I'm going to start with bishop d6, make him make up his mind about what he wants to do with that knight. And at some point I can start considering going f4. So I think I'm actually just going to do that here. Get ready to kick this knight. And yeah, once I get f5 through it, well, he has rook ed8 now. But just bishop c5, and if rook cd8 I have, yeah. So here I can just go bishop c5, I think. He can't really take this bishop. Oh, she's knight takes f4. Oh, what an idiot I am. Knight takes f4. And then he's probably almost equalizing. Maybe I can still put pressure. The king is still very active. Yeah, I can still pressure him a bit. Knight f4, rook a7, knight e6, rook e7. He has to play rook e8. I can take the rook, rook takes in d5, and this pawn is going to be a huge pain in the butt for black to deal with. Yeah, that's not going to help his cause. Let's go rook a7. I probably could have even just gone with rook c6 as well. I think bishop e7 is a pretty convincing end to the game. So yeah, this was a bit of a sloppy game, but I got there. Good game, Crypto. Who else are we playing with? Let's play with Uttara Shilekdar. Shalatkar. Okay, good luck, Utara. Let's have a good game. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's play with Blunder Panda. I haven't played with you in a while, I don't think. Alright, so let's keep on playing the trustful repertoire. Okay, I think I gave knight c3 move order in this love is fine, e3. And yeah, I gave knight f3 here, and bishop e2, which I thought was kind of clever and tricky. And here my big point was a4, and that I don't have to take back on c4 directly and let black play b5 with the gain of tempo. And furthermore, in some cases I can just go knight d2 and take with the knight. So yeah, this I think already looks very bad for black after bishop c4. Because he doesn't get b5 through, he's not fast enough to organize his development, and very quickly I'm going to go e4. In fact, I'm very tempted to just play e4 right now, because if he plays e5, he's going to hang on f7 at the end. So let's, do I want to just force that endgame right away? I'll take e4 at the end, and then I'm going to be a bit more lame and just castle. E4 was tempting, but we'll stick with this for now. But basically the problem for black in this now is that I'm going to get e4 before he gets b5. And when black plays b5 before I play e4, my bishop can't really go to b3. He'll just play c5 and my bishop is an idiot. But if I play e4 and force him to play e5 without first kicking my bishop off of the a2 g8 diagonal, then I think this bishop all of a sudden just becomes the best piece on the board. So as a result here, I think this bishop is going to be like an absolute beast, when normally in the Moran, because you haven't played a4 so soon, black just hits it with b5 immediately while the pawns are still on e3 and e6. If you go bishop b3, it's sort of dumb. There's like b4, bishop a6 stuff. And so you have to go like bishop e2 or bishop d3, and once that happens, then when e4, e5 comes later, this bishop's on a square like e2. But now that this bishop is on c4, when I've forced open this diagonal, so to speak, I think black's position is very difficult. And I'm going to go rook ad1 next and put the rooks in the center and start playing for an attack. And this bishop on c4 is going to be a very powerful piece that it just normally is not in these kinds of Morans. Already here, like, black has a lot of problems to solve. Queen c7, huh? Alright, so I'm going to take everything on e5 and go f4. He has to take c3, I go bc, and then I suspect he's going to get crushed. Like, my pieces are too good in the center. And e5 is coming. There's actually a funny line I was thinking, wow, that's an aggressive move that of course I hadn't seen, but I don't think it helps them very much. In fact, I think it is actively unhelpful, because now I will be able to take on c3 with the queen without hanging the e4 pawn. And yeah, I don't think that was a helpful move. Maybe he can try b5 here. Then bishop e2, take on c3, queen c3, queen b6, and he's good, huh? Yeah, b5, I can go bishop a2, but then bishop c3 and queen b6, and it's bad for him, but he has better defensive chances than he might otherwise. Yeah, so I'm going to tuck this bishop back away on a2. And after bishop c3, I have to take with the pawn, which I'm not thrilled about, but I also don't think is a huge deal. So here, and if he goes bishop d4, I was just thinking that feels incredibly optimistic. So I'm just going to start attacking. If he plays knight f2, I can take it and go knight e4, knight g5, and I just sort of suspect that's not going to work for black. And this bishop on a2 is all of a sudden a very, very good piece. But actually, now I come to think of it, he can play c5, and then queen h6 is not messing around. Yeah, that I don't think is going to work. You can't be materialistic against such a bishop on a2. I think he's just going to get mated. Of course, I missed this move completely as well, but even still, like, just think white's... I don't believe that black's 4 non-queen pieces are better than mine, despite the fact that they are nominally larger. Okay, so c5 feels like something should collapse here. Let's start with queen f5. But just c4. Why am I blundering every single move? I should have played like bishop e3 or something instead. Still, it's not easy. c4, queen g4, and the attack continues. Yeah, so let's start with queen g4. And he still could very easily just get mated in like 3 more moves now. So that one I think I can just take b7 and then take his bishop. But if he had dropped his bishop, he had to like play bishop d8, because if bishop e7 there was knight f5, and after bishop d8 I just throw f5 and I'm ready for whatever. Yeah. Is 28-29 your highest performance rating? No, come on. I had like 28-90 at US Championship, 2900 in Prague. Like I've had high performance ratings before. I've had plenty, well over 2800. All right, so there. Let's kick this queen away. And c2, sure. What do I think of the French defense? It's not a great opening. All right, we're playing Banter Blitz. Let's sacrifice stuff and try to mate him. I don't love doing this. You can take b2 and make some counterplay, but go bishop b1. And now start to give mate. That's the plan. So we can start with queen f6, I guess, and rook e2, or queen c3, sorry. Let's go queen g3, protecting the e5 pawn and getting ready for f5. I don't know. Didn't I use the French in Prague? Yeah. So basically, my opinion of the French is that like it's a very like good position if he plays knight c3. And I think every other line white can play is really not very impressive and doesn't scare me very much. So when I see guys like Grandelius, who I played in Prague and played the French against, who don't ever play knight c3, I'm very tempted to just play the French with them because they don't play things that I'm worried about. And as a result, I think like I still get equal positions or fine positions very easily, and then it's so they just don't play like the most critical moves basically, and so that I think is good news for me. All right, so sorry, I'm not good at multitasking. But yeah, so Miels never plays knight c3, and then I also tried the French against Gawain Jones and Lazare Brazon Batista, and I made a bunch of points against them. All right, so this is kind of getting annoying, actually. Let's just go for an ending is fine and see an e6 and make a queen here. I think I've misplayed this pretty badly, but this has to be winning. Yeah, these pawns aren't going anywhere. You're not doing anything with them. That doesn't threaten anything either, so I'm going to continue to ignore it. Rook b8 feels like, yeah, okay, he resigned, but yeah, position was definitely lost. Yeah, that was a bit sloppy at the end, but I think in the beginning it went really well. All right, let's play with Sante. Cent, whatever. All right, Cent, let's have a good game. Yeah, so we're going to play some classical Sicilian and see how the repertoire holds up. Looks like our fellow is a runner. So that's not a great move. Knight g4 is good. That's one nice appeal of classical Sicilian is you cannot just play like a standard English attack. As soon as we get a dragon where white doesn't have a dark scored bishop, black is very happy. But yeah, Yeah, all those French questions. I don't know. I really like the French actually against everything except knight c3. So whenever I see someone who just doesn't play it, I'm very tempted to play French. All right, let's go bishop g7, and I just do not believe in white's position in the dragon if he doesn't have a dark square bishop. All right, so castle short as well. What do you think of the knowledge-skill balance in chess? Should one focus most of the time on training than skill? Yeah, I think skill is different in that knowledge is pretty easy to transfer from one human being to another. If I know something and you don't, and then I tell you, congratulations, now you know it. This wasn't particularly challenging. But skill is much harder. Like if you're to make an analogy, I mean, if Messi can tell you exactly where to plant your foot, exactly where you're trying to hit the ball, exactly the angle and whatnot, and then he can teach you all of that stuff and tell you probably almost everything he knows in an afternoon in that regard. And then when he says, okay, now go put the ball in the goal, that's a different story. And so again, it's just knowledge is relatively easy to transfer from one person to another, but skill is much harder. And that's why I think you should spend most of your time training skill. All right, so I could take d5, but let's just be calm. Probably taking d5 was better. Just take d5, play rook e8, and quickly go like queen b6 or queen a5. Would have left black with a very nice position, but this is fine. What do I think about the perk? I don't know. It always struck me as, it's not a great opening. It's not terrible, but like, I think the only like really decent openings for black against d4 are the Sicilian and e5. So I'm gonna go e6. All right, let's go queen b6 and start harassing his pieces a bit. If f5, I think the easiest is to go e takes f5, e takes f5, and then bishop takes d4. And once we start trading stuff, he will be forced to trade the queens, or else the knight will hang, and then I should be able to take on f5. Queen f3 loses a piece. I can take this, and b4 hangs at the end. Yeah, I'm not going to win a piece here. All right, good game, Santo. Seems relatively straightforward. Who else have we got? Let's play with Avenge 05. It's a bit higher rated. Good luck to you, Avenge 05. See if you can cause me any trouble. Alright, so e4. We will continue to play the chessable repertoire until it starts to fail me, and so far it really hasn't. So knight c6, classical Sicilian in the house. This guy gonna play bishop g5. Nope, he plays bishop e3 as well. And after knight g4 here, I think white's already almost worse. I think this is just not a great position already. Yeah, okay, so he does the same thing, but again, I'm going to get a dragon with a dragon without a dark squared bishop for white, which should be like really bad news for him. And now he's giving me this bishop pair too. Can't say I understand the way white has played so far, but as far as I can tell, I have two bishops versus two knights and two pawns in the center. General, I feel like chess 24 ratings are a bit more inflated. Inflated compared to what? I mean, what am I, 3034? I think that I'm probably not that strong if you were to convert that to a FIDE rating. So yes, that strikes me as inflation. All right, let's go a5 and start playing a4 and harassing this knight a bit. If he plays a4 himself, I can play bishop e6. And already white's rook a3 is an incredibly ugly move. Now like none of his pieces move. So, I mean, he maybe just had to do it, but like this is really ugly for white. What is the general strategy against 2 bishop c4 in the Sicilian? Play e6 and laugh. Like, I don't know why anybody would ever play this line. I mean, the bishop coming to c4, I think it almost never makes any sense if black's pawn can go to e6. Like, I don't get it at all. Like, why would you put the bishop there if it's just going to get blunted? I've never once seen bishop c4 be a good move in like some, I don't know, I mean, maybe there's some Rubinstein French maybe, but like, it's just so hard to imagine. All right, so here, let's just get ready to put more pressure on the B file. It's just like white can barely move. Like none of his pieces can move here, basically. If he moves his knight, there's, I don't know, like if he, like basically no pieces move. Okay, so let's go the other rook to b8. If f5, I will probably just take it and go queen c5. I can also just retreat the bishop and laugh. Yeah, this is strategic domination. Okay, so here, how are we going to do this? Just get the queens off and take b2. It's fine. Maybe not the most thrilling, but it gets the job done. Trade the queens and take b2. Okay, don't even have to trade the queens and we still get b2. That works as well. If you were guaranteed to face e6 or c6 every game starting with e4, it would make e4 a much more tempting move. I mean, it's not like I've have a 100% score against the French or Caro-Kann. I've lost to them before, but my score against them is good, and they frustrate me less than e5 or c5. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's to each his own. It's not like I can't play e4 otherwise. I mean, Duda played Sicilian with me, played the Najdorf, which is a great opening, and I still just tore his head off. I mean, it's not like I can't play if they play a good move. And it's, I mean, it's like, would you, I guess the question would be like, if everybody played like the old Indian with black, would you play d4 every game? Yeah, I mean, every game you just have to think like, at my level, everybody's really good. They're going to be well prepared. They generally don't play like really bad openings. So, you know, you can't expect an advantage with e4 or with d4. All right, so you should jump around and keep them guessing. All right, let's play with HCTH. Good luck, HCTH. It's a British fellow. Shouldn't you be watching soccer in like half an hour? Which books or other training contents made the most impression on me back in the day? I don't know. I mean, my decision to work with Jakob Bogert, or Jacob, as my main coach now for 8 years, largely stemmed from the fact that I really enjoyed his books, and I thought that I could learn a lot from him as a result. So I liked his stuff. I liked Practical Chess Defense. I liked Grandmaster Repertoire. I liked all the Grandmaster preparation. Yeah, so we're still just playing my Chessable Repertoire. And do you like Yusupov books? Yeah, I mean, he mostly wrote them with Dvoretsky. The ones he wrote with Dvoretsky I really liked. I mean, Dvoretsky and Jakob, I think, are by far the two best chess authors in history, and I've learned more from them than certainly anybody else. All right, so let's go bishop d2. And there's an important point to know about this Banco is basically what's going to happen is I'm going to go knight b5 and solidify the queen side pretty easily. But the question is then, how do you make further progress? And the biggest gap in knowledge that I see in most people is they don't understand that you are absolutely not supposed to exchange dark squared bishops. You're not supposed to play bishop c3 and trade these guys, which is sort of not the most obvious thing in my opinion. So here I think I can go rook e1, because if he takes b2, I have rook b1, rook b3. But if there's some position like with the queen on a6, and then you go like b3, queen c2, rook a b1, and knight b5, and you've completely shut down the queen side, but you need a further plan, it's a very bad idea to then play bishop c3 later, because when black trades these bishops and then brings the knight around to c7 and trades the knights and has these like queen and rook with the pressure on the b4 square and the a pawn, there's really not much you can do. It's very hard to make further progress. While if you still have a bishop on d2 and black has a bishop on g7, the bishop on g7 ends up looking really dumb, and the bishop on d2 helps you play b4 and a5. So I had a game actually with this Danish kid, Martin Hobro, where I did exactly that, where I traded the dark squared bishops, and then very quickly black just had a lot of counterplay, and I wasn't a very great game for me. All right, so this feels like it should lose, but hang on, let's see. So, knight b5, queen b2, rook b1, queen f6, bishop g5 traps the queen. If queen a2, h3, if knight e5, knight c3, queen a3, rook b3 traps the queen. If knight f6, knight c3, queen, rook b3 traps the queen. So he has to go knight h6, and then bishop takes h6, knight c3, and rook, yes, okay, so knight b5, and I'm trapping the queen. It took me a second, but I got there. Do you think Denmark can hold today? I'm definitely rooting for the Danes, but I don't suspect they're going to hold. I think they're going to lose. So, yeah, I believe I'm trapping his queen now after queen b2, rook b1. It took me a second to calculate, but I think it works. So rook b1, let's go to a2, that's not work, trap your queen. Okay, so this queen, it was a little bit more resilient to play queen a2. After h3, he maybe could have tried something like knight takes f2, king f2, and then take on a4 when he gets 2 pawns for the piece and my coordination isn't great. I do think that should win for white, but it would have made me work a bit harder. So here it's just gone. But yeah, he didn't have anything better, because after queen a2, h3, if he plays knight h6, I can take it, and then knight c3, rook b3, or if knight e5 or knight f6, I can go knight c3, rook b3 as well. All right, so good game to HCTH. All right, who else are we going to play with? Let's play with Bend It Like Karpov. Good luck, Bend It Like Karpov, representing Norway. Let's see if he can cause trouble for my chessable repertoire. f3. And knight c3. Okay, so I gave e4 in the Vienna. Let's see if he wants the old main line or... Yeah, so he's going to go with this line. So he has to take on e4, and the question is, can I cause some trouble to black's king? So I had this interesting idea. Let's see if... Basically, it doesn't matter if he plays bishop e7 or bishop d6. We get the same position, but my big point was this move bishop f4, which was... c5, that cannot possibly be good. Not just d5 and smash. Yeah, c5 is not a great move, but he should castle instead. Okay, this just feels so bad for black. Let's go rook e1, and he's going to have such a hard time completing his development now. All right, so let's take this. Then bishop f6, sure. Feels so bad for black already. Bishop d6, rook e8, bishop f7 doesn't work yet, I don't think, so let's just go queen b3 and get ready for rook a d1. Maybe he can try bishop c3, it's just so hard to believe. Rook a d1, and then I guess queen f6, but not bishop g5. Yeah, so bishop c3, I think rook a d1 is just too good. If queen a5, there's bishop f7, he's getting mated for sure. Alright, so that one I think bishop d6 just takes his stuff. He can play knight b6, I guess. I don't know. That bishop d6, knight b6, I think white's just winning, but it's not that clean. I think if I just go rook a d1, he just does not have a way to stop bishop d6 anyway, so I might as well just maximize what I can get. Alright, so that I guess makes me semi-regret, but hang on. So Bishop f7 is not quite working, I don't think. So let's start with queen c4 and let him show me his next move, which I just don't think he has one. You see, he will just never develop the queen side. This c5 move is really bad. Do you think Puzzle Rush, speed solving, easy puzzles has any place in chess training? Yeah, I mean, that will help you in like time scrambles and stuff. I mean, being able to like take in like really, really easy tactics. The difference between getting, 99 out of 100 and 95 out of 100 for very easy tactics does matter. The difference between seeing them in 5 seconds versus seeing them in 1 second is usually not wildly relevant, but there is some room for solving easy puzzles. Okay, but so hang on. Okay, so bishop f7, rook f7, rook e8, knight f8, bishop d6. You can go bishop e6, queen e6, rook e8, queen c3, and that doesn't look that bad for him, annoyingly. If I start with bishop d6 here, knight b6, I have bishop f7, so I think I can do that. That looks pretty good. Yeah, knight b6, bishop f7 is bad news for black. I managed to knock over my charger. Thankfully, I didn't break anything in my Airbnb. Put that back. Okay, so bishop c3, and this feels like he's got to be checkmated in like 3 more moves. So if bishop f7 seems like a good place to start. And then I could just be incredibly boring, which I think I'm going to do. Yeah, let's just be boring. Winning is winning. I take this one, bishop e1, rook e1, and rook e8, and then I win with no need for calculation or fancy business or anything. Just rook e8 and the game is over. So, yeah. Let's tilt my computer a little bit. It looks like my mouth is getting cut off. So that'll help. Good game, bend it like Karpov. This c5 was really asking for it. Just let white's pieces spring to life this whole game. Bishop a, c8, and rook a8 just stayed there the entire time. Alright, let's play with Samuel Fincasolana. May I compliment you on a lovely first name? It's a very, very nice first name. c4. Keep on playing the chessable repertoire. Knight c6, huh? The knight on c6 tends to be badly misplaced. So here we have something that looks like a Grunfelder semi-Tarrasch, but where black doesn't get to play c5, so I think the position is absolutely horrible already. And once I get to keep this big center without even having to do anything for it, like I'm already... Alright, let's just do it. I mean, h4 just sort of feels like checkmate next, so... I certainly could have just castled with like a very healthy strategic advantage, but this just sort of feels like it's begging to get checkmated, so... Okay, someone has no respect for attacking chess, even less so than me. Alright, this has to be mate. If this isn't mate, I am going to be very surprised. And that is mate. G6, keep the king in the kill zone, and the game is over. Alright, it's a good game, Mr. Finn Castellana. May I recommend not putting the knight on c6. Let's play with El Guatemaleco. Oh, this guy is a CM. Okay. Alright, El Guatemaleco. That is not a Guatemalan flag. That is an Argentinian flag. But, alright. Okay, so good luck to El Guatemalteco. And let's see if I can remember my own recommendations. That's always the first step. So, bishop b4 check is a bit weird. Let's just go knight c3. I'm not much more tempted to play like this. Bishop b4 is a very weird way to play the QGA. Next up, I will play a3 and ask this bishop what it wants. So yeah, now we're just straight up in an Nimzo Indian, except I didn't play bishop d3 takes c4, so I'm up a clean tempo, and that should be a huge deal in a position this direct. Yeah, so like here, I mean, okay, now white's just much better. I get a nice big center for absolutely nothing. Yeah, guys, I think I have to shave the beard before the World Cup. It worked so well to like let it grow like crazy and then shave right before the tournament started. I did that for Prague and it just killed everybody. And I don't really believe in superstitions or anything like that, but I don't mess with success, so I think I'll probably shave before the World Cup starts. Don't know. I'm a little bummed that I didn't get more than this. I think white's pleasantly better here, but it's not going to be that easy to like launch an attack. Still, I think this should be very fun for white. We can go rook a-d1 next and rook f-e1. Maybe he should play b5. Let's go rook a-d1. No, actually, I think strategically d5 is a tremendous threat. So yeah, he just ignores me, and it feels like d5 should just be checkmate now. But even with the knight on a5, I was thinking of throwing d5 and sacking a pawn after ed and e5 because he couldn't play knight e4. But this feels like it has to be made. These bishops are going to be so good. Yeah, I've barely even calculated anything. It just like this just looks like it's completely crushing. I mean, there were all these Kasparov games in this a3 Nimzo back in the a3 Queen's Indian back in the day that just sort of just feels like a vintage one of those. I mean, okay, so what if knight d5, bishop h7, king h7, queen e4? I guess he can play f5 there. That's a little annoying. Knight d5, maybe I can start with queen e4. That one I thought I should just, simple enough, just take c6 and then take e2 and then win with material. Yeah, here white just wins material. The queen will be no match for the two pieces in rook. Alright, so take this one. Okay, so just have to organize my pieces a bit, and this should win routinely. Like the queen, the pieces will be so much better than the queen here. Homer Simpson. You gotta be more original though, because I think you had Homer Simpson last time as well, and I'm supposed to play with different people, and if maybe you can trick me if you have another funny cartoon character. Yeah. Alright, Guatemala. Let's just keep it safe with h3. At some point, the plan will be to eventually organize knight e5 and bishop c4 and crush through on f7, and I think it should happen pretty soon. So that's why I don't really want to take f6, because then it will be harder to organize that. So yeah, I go knight e5, and like next move is rook e2. If queen b3, I have rook e2. Everything is defended, and yeah, so now it's bishop c4 time, I think. Bishop c4, queen d2, go bishop f7, king f8's a bit annoying. If I take on d7, that's not that clean. Let's hang on, bishop c4, queen d2, rook e2, queen d1. That's a bit annoying. Give me a second here. Oh, I see a nice move. Let's go rook d1. Now rook d1, queen b3. So it feels like something should collapse immediately, but somehow I'm not seeing it yet. Bishop c4, queen d2. If bishop f7, king f8, he's sort of hanging in there. If I go rook e2, queen d1. All right, let's just do bishop c4 and queen d2. That's fine. And queen d2, rook e2 is fine. I feel like I've misplayed this horribly, but I also feel like I'm still completely winning, so I'm not too worried about it. So rook e2, and then everything is defended. Peter Griffin, is that new? I guess I gotta play with Peter. Alright, knight e5, let's take with the bishop, I guess. It's fine. This way my bishop can come to like g3 and keep my king safe. And now all I have to do is organize, like, just start with rook d3, rook f3, and I will take, okay, that one is just gonna get mated very quickly. But yeah, the pieces just end up much better than the queen here. So check, and then check, and bishop b5, and okay, rook e7 is fine. And yeah, that's the end. All right, good game, Guatemalaco. Malteco, sorry. Okay, who else are we playing? There's Peter Griffin. All right, Peter, what you got for me? Oh man, Peter Griffin, you're a disgrace to all Rhode Islanders. Exchange Slav. Okay, but at least you play with bishop g5, which is a bit more dynamic. And I think this move knight e4 is d2. All right, let's take a bishop pair and show me why it's wrong. So like, this just already feels like black should be slightly better thanks to the two bishops. It's not much, of course, but let's go a6 and then rook c8. Know what we're supposed to do. Let's play f5 and clamp the position a bit. I guess you can go knight a4 now because knight d4 doesn't work anymore. So maybe that was careless. But I like my bishops here. At some point I can play g5, g4. Alright, so there, let's start with queen f6, which is just a nice move. In the event of knight a4, now knight d4 does work, so it's hard for white to find a productive move. I'm contemplating playing b5 next. Yeah, this one I didn't think worked. I thought I could just take that. But it was already, I think, exchange Slav can never be that bad for white, but felt like I was already pretty happy with my position. Now I should just be playing with an extra pawn and pair of bishops. No bishop trade for you. f4 seems sensible enough. Doesn't want to allow e5. Let's go with rook c7 and double the rooks. It'll take a little effort to convert this pawn, but probably not that much. So let's double the rooks, and then we'll probably have to, okay, so rook c3 and start harassing his stuff a bit. I think I'm winning a second pawn here. B5, huh? Okay, so what's the best way here? I can go rook d3, bishop b5, bishop f1. That seems incredibly convincing. a3 will fall at the end too, but he gets his queen to c8, which is kind of annoying. Could just go a5 and ask him for a move. Kind of like that. Let's just play a5 and keep it simple. If he plays a4, even just go b6, just so go make a move. Like, it's so hard for white to do anything. At some point, I will play like bishop e8, bishop h5, swap the bishop for the knight, and play bishop c5 and crash through on the e3 square. I can also just like go bishop c5 directly here and get ready for like rook a3 next. And knight e5 never does anything. I stick the bishop on e8, and here just stuff is falling. c6. Okay. Not very intimidating, so I'm going to go rook a3. The knight on c6 reminds me of some of my favorite people. Looks really nice, does absolutely nothing useful. But yeah, here stuff is going to hang. Queen c2, let's take a pawn and then drop back to c5 to just deny him any hope of activity. And then let's swing the queen back towards c7 and then go bishop d6 and slowly squeeze the life out of this poor fellow. So that just sort of feels like it's begging for a check. H2, sure. Let's go queen c7, which sort of has some cheapos in mind with bishop g1, but I also just think is the best move because I want to go bishop d6 next. So there we go, cheapo time, taken bishop g1. So he saw it, but obviously this isn't going to help him. There we go. There's the queen. All right, good game, Peter Griffin. Don't play the exchange Slav. All right. I've already played with Homer, but this is a different Homer, so we're going to play with you. Good luck, Migly Mao. Homer pointing right at me. So continue along with the chessable repertoire. Okay, so bishop e7 is a very solid line. While I will berate people for playing like super solid stuff with white, with black it's a totally sensible way of playing chess, to just be as solid as possible with black and look to strike with white. So this line is very hard to break down. But I thought I detailed some middle game plans pretty nicely. So we'll see if this guy knows what he's doing. Okay, so c5 is a very direct move. And I thought these positions were always a bit difficult for black. So queen c2 and rook d1 comes. DC, that feels very optimistic. Got my bishop out for free, and now I think white will be faster to the open files. And funnily enough, in a lot of these positions, black's king can come under very serious fire. All right, so let's start with rook d1. Hit black's queen, ask her where she wants to go. Apparently the answer is e7. And now, for example, let's play this funny move, bishop g5. And this is what I mean by black's king comes under fire. Knight e4 is not messing around. Now here he just let it happen, but how was he supposed to actually stop it? Like if he plays h6, bishop h4, you don't really want to play g5. You don't really want to move the queen and allow bishop takes f6. It's just like your king side can really become very compromised very fast in this line if you're not careful. And here that's going to be the case. So this feels like it should lose directly. I'm just trying to see how. So I think I can start with a3. Ask this bishop where it wants to go. If bishop c5, at bare minimum, I have bishop f6, and then bishop e6. Okay, so bishop a5 is sensible. This really feels like black should lose immediately. I'm just not quite seeing how yet. I'm going to start with bishop h4. And the point is I want to go knight f6 and then queen e4. And I don't want f5 to come in time. So yeah, there I think I'm going to just execute my plan. I'm going to take this and go queen e4. He cannot play f5 because of bishop e7 and bishop d8. And now bishop d3 is coming. And that feels like it should be made. So e5, this has to get crushed. So bishop d3, bishop f5, bishop e7, f e4, bishop d8 is a completely winning endgame. And yeah, I mean, I'm very tempted by, like, for example, rook d7, if queen d7, bishop f6, if rook d7, I can go queen g4 and then bishop f6. All this stuff is tempting, but I'm going to be boring and prosaic because I'm in the business of winning chess games, not winning beauty prizes. If I were in the business of winning beauty prizes, I would be screwed from the start. But here, this will win a chess game, even if it's not as dazzling as it possibly could be if I were more aggressive. Winning is winning. And this is simple, and it's very simple and very winning. Homer Simpson was actually supposed to be a good chess player, I thought. I mean, it's funny because he's normally an idiot, but I thought there was an episode where they even brought in Magnus as a guest star, and he was apparently a very good chess player. Which is not something you would guess about him based on his general intelligence level. Yeah, okay, we're done here. This is an extra rook. All right. Still playing, are we? Maybe not after I take e4. Thanks for the game. Good luck for the World Cup. Thank you, Megli Mao. Good luck to you as well. Let's see who else wants to play. Let's play with Jupp. Not a Banter Blitz without him. All right, Jupp, show me what you got. All right. See if my classical Sicilian holds up. Bishop g5, good move. Oh, see, that's the best move by far. All right, so a6. Castle, bishop d7. And after f4, I gave bishop e7. f3 he plays. So now I think it's actually in this line. I really like this idea to take d4 first and then go bishop e7 because when I take, a lot of the times this bishop on g5 ends up going back to e3, and when I take on d4, I think it's much better for white to take with the bishop and with the queen. So g4, I've always felt like g4, this was the wrong moment for it because I get h5 in time. And basically in this position with knight takes h5, I think white needs to have h4 and rook g1, and he was just too slow here. Because these endgames after queen d6, when I take it and start going like king e7, rook h6, rook h8, they can just get really bad for white really fast. So like here, let's see how I want to play this. I mean, the most natural thing is bishop c6, knight d5, I can just go bishop d5 and e5. So yeah, I'm going to start with bishop c6. It's a nice solid square. And now he sort of has to make up his mind if he wants to take d6 or not, because next move I'm going to play rook d8. Yeah, so here he doesn't take it, but now I think I can solidify the position with rook d8. And I think I like rook d8 more than castling along. My king will be very good on f8, where it defends g7. And I think structurally White's position is a train wreck, so he has to be pretty careful to not become significantly worse here. All right, so queen b6, threatening bishop a6, I suppose. Makes some sense. So I'm going to bring my rook back to c8 to stop that threat. And again, I'm just not particularly... I mean, he can play queen back to d4, but for example, I can go king f8 and... Okay, so there I'm going to start with rook h6, which is just generally a useful move. It overprotects some squares. In the event of queen d4, I will be able to play g6 without having to worry about the hanging rook. My next move is like king f8, I guess, and I think these positions tend to be very comfortable for black despite the pawn less if he takes. So, I mean, I'm probably in a real game I would play rook back to d8 here because this whole queen back to b6 would not work anymore because bishop a6 isn't threatened. But here I'm just going to try to illustrate my point. So I'm going to go g6. And it's just so hard for me to imagine white doing anything other than taking this pawn on d6 at some point. But these endgames are just not good for him. I go king e7, other rook to h8, knight f4. I quickly get my pawn back, and I think white's position ends up becoming really unpleasant. All right, so there I guess I should go rook h7, and I guess a knight e2. I'll go king f8, get the king closer to safety. Maybe he can go knight f4, but... still knight f4, take, and maybe I start with rook h4 then. e5 maybe? No, e5 is too much. Hang on. So if king g7, bishop e6 is annoying, so I think I have to take this one. It's kind of annoying actually. So if I take... if I take on f4, queen f4, king g7, then rook d6, e5, I think that works. Let's find out. Yeah, rook d6, e5, and he can play queen g4, queen d6, queen c8, but rook h2, and black should be at least fine, probably better. All right, so he goes rook g2. Let's bring the rook to h8 and start threatening stuff. And strategically, this position can be very dangerous for white. I mean, his bishop on b3 is so bad. Like, every endgame is going to suck, and it's just so hard to, like, actually get to my king. Alright, so rook d2, overprotect that one, sure. Let's start with rook h4, asking his queen where she wants to go. And then... if queen h3, I think I play rook h3, queen f4, other rook to h4, and I think once, if he ever takes d6, it's probably not like the worst endgame for white, but it's not pleasant. Yeah, so let's go rook h3. If queen f4, the other rook comes to h4, and his pieces are slowly but surely being beaten backwards. Yeah. So now let's go queen f6 and harass the f3 pawn. And he can't go rook g3 because of rook h2, so it's already not easy for white. If rook d3, I can go queen f4, and then I think something's going to drop. Right, so queen d4, but this should fail. So let's start with rook takes f3. And then once that pawn falls, the whole position will collapse very, very quickly. And awake, you have a good point in chat. Like in the Slav with either knight f3 or knight c3 and e3, if you're worried about black taking on c4, this will not let him do it particularly comfortably. Just to play knight c3, e3, or knight f3, e3. Alright, that, let's just take on e4. Nice open bishop now. Probably could have somehow made it, but here this is good enough. You still can't move. Okay, bishop c4, huh? How are we gonna finish this off? Start with rook c8. Seems like a good attacking move. Queen d4. Alright, let's just be simple and prosaic. I can take this one and go rook f1, and then the g2 rook will fall. Alright, good game, Jep. Let's see who else wants to play. In the mood for a challenge. Let's see if there's anybody high rated. Oh, pawn holder again. He's pretty good. Let's see if pawn holder can avenge his loss from a couple days ago. I don't actually know who pawn holder is. Just GM from Serbia, who apparently I'm 1-1 with now. Yeah, I think I remember that other game was tough. Alright, so let's go c4 and see if this guy can cause me trouble. Oh, Dutch. I was actually really happy with what I came up with in the Dutch for white, but we'll see if he can prove me wrong. He's taking his time here. Doesn't seem like a critical decision yet. I guess you have to choose between classical and Stonewall. Alright, so he wants Stonewall. And let's see if I can remember what I wanted. I think it was b3 first. And then I wanted queen c2, and I think I just wanted to go knight e5 actually. Yeah, so the whole point of knight e5 was to organize knight d3. And now I can actually go bishop f4. Knight d7 I don't think is a great move, because after bishop f4 the normal response would be knight h5, and here it doesn't work because I take d7. So at the end of the day here, I should be able to conquer the e5 square and get the dark squared bishops off the board, which is really good for white. It's why black even played queen e7 in the first place. Because, well, okay, so that strikes me as really asking for it, but okay, knight d7, bishop d7, bishop d6, not convincing. If I go c d5, you can just keep the tension with e3. Yeah, I'm not worried about hanging pawns. Let's just go e3. dc, sure. So let's go bc. This bishop on g2 is just like one of the biggest points of the Stonewall as in the Dutch is to like say the bishop on g2 sucks, and that is just simply not the case anymore. All right, so now we get this business, but this has to be bad for black. Take, and even if he like wins this pawn, like let's go bishop c1, and he cannot take it because of bishop a3. This feels so bad for black. I mean, maybe it's not the end of the world, but it just looks really bad. Queen d8. If I start with bishop f3, where is that knight going? Is he going to let me take it? That doesn't sound like happiness for black. Can also just anchor my bishop on d6. That looks, let's just do that. That looks too good. I can't be dissuaded from putting a bishop on d6. Bishop f3, if g6, and then I take it, and he goes b6, bishop b7 later. It's annoying. Let's just anchor a bishop on d6 and ask him how he feels about that. He probably should give an exchange with knight e5 here, but I don't think he gets nearly enough for it. I can't imagine allowing this bishop to d6 will lead to anything but grief for black. Alright, so let's keep on squeezing. f4, no moves. Yeah, black's almost stalemated now, basically. Like, I legitimately have no idea what his next move is here. Knight b6, sure. Where do you think you're going, my friend? I think this is sort of strategic demolition. And back to d7. Let's go a5 and take more space and threaten a6. Okay, so I guess he wants to play bishop d7, but if I go a6, he can't anymore, and I don't even have to take b7 next. Like, he still just can't move. I go rook fb1 or something. Or I have all the time in the world. I can go c5, knight c4 too. There's just nothing for black to do. His pieces are all totally stuck. It's a very aesthetically pleasing position for white. It's funny, like, material is equal. My guess is if you put this into the computer, it'll give you like +6. But we'll see. Yeah, I think that knight d7 was dubious and c5 was very questionable. In other news, I can't open any other tabs. Can anybody tell me what the score is in England and Denmark? Okay, knight g3, sure. I mean, I guess you might as well try, but there's not any particular chance I'm going to get checkmated here. So start with rook a3 and get that queen out of my face. And g4, let's continue to kick her away. Still 0-0. Okay, thank you for the update, folks. All right, let's go queen f3, and yeah, now we have all this. He has all the same problems except with a piece less, and my king is obviously totally safe. All right, you want an exchange of queens? That is a-okay with me. Let's go rook b3. This one, b7. Okay, buddy, you're a grandmaster. We know what grandmasters do when they get positions like this one. Okay, apparently not. All right, we're gonna finish this guy in a couple moves. Let's just take this and go f5 or something is fine. Good game, pawn holder. I think this went wrong pretty quickly in their opening. The Stonewall Dutch is actually much better than its reputation. I think White's only very slightly better, but this game it went bad for Black pretty fast. All right, Dangerous Rod. We haven't played with you for a while. Let's play. All right. So we'll start with the semi-slave repertoire. Bishop g5. Wow. Okay, f6. See if I can remember anything. And yeah, guys, I'm rooting for Denmark. I don't care that much. I mostly just enjoy like high-level sport. I like watching good games as opposed to rooting for any specific team. But yeah. All right. So here I think bishop g4 was probably pretty dumb. Actually, I think I'm supposed to start with g5, but whatever. This is fine. But yeah, in solidarity with Jakob, who is a Danish-born Scot, I think I can't root for England and England versus Denmark. Yeah, so I've ended up playing some kind of reverse Trumpowski, but one where I gained a lot of time because he's moved this bishop 4 times to h2. He's played bishop g5, f4, h2, and then traded off for a piece that only moved once. And so in general, I don't love playing knight c6 in front of the c-pawn, but I think the only way you can justify that is to play e5, and if you can't do that, you're going to be worse. But thankfully here, I think it's pretty obvious e5 is going to happen, and there's not a thing White can do about it. So, yeah. All right, c4. If I take f3, does he have to take with the... I can probably take with the queen and just give the pawn. Let's just castle along. If he takes on d5, I can probably take with the queen, so he does that instead. Let's go knight e7, then c5, queen d7. Hard to get e5 in. I'm just going to be aggressive and take on c4 directly and play e5 right away. It's probably not amazing, but it should be fine. I'm a little not as developed as I'd like for the center to be opening like this. I'm not wildly concerned, but no, somehow I feel a little uneasy. I would like to be like one more ply ahead in development before doing this, but it's fine. Okay, d5, huh? How are we gonna do this? Queen b4, queen b3. Take with the pawn problem. Queen c5, bishop anywhere, not amazing. Let's go knight a5 then, almost by elimination. It will be hard for him to maintain this d5 pawn. The center might open before he'd like it to. It's also sort of before I'd like it to, though. Like, I can imagine if he plays bishop e2, knight e7, e4, I kind of want to play c6, but my king is still on the c file, which concerns me a bit. I would much prefer to have my king on b8 here. So it sort of feels like I'm one ply behind in development of where I'd like to be. If he plays queen f4, my knight is not in the best shape. Can play queen c5 though. Knight e4, there's queen d5, rook d1, queen c6, take on a5, take on e4, queen a7, rook d1, doesn't seem so bad. Very messy though. So he castles, but now I think I can just gobble this one, which is much more than just a pawn. It gets my knight back to c6 as well. Yeah, he had to try either e4 to preserve the pawn or queen a4 to make a mess, because now I think I'm basically just winning. Like, I don't think he's going to mate me. I can play b6 and put the king on b8, and it seems fine. And I'm a very healthy pawn up, and there's an open file to trade rooks with, and yeah. g4, but I don't think it really helps much. Okay, bishop b5 is a sensible move because he's threatening now to take on c6 in a way where I can't recapture in a great manner, but I can play bishop d5 if e4, bishop takes e4. I don't see it for him, so let's just do it. See what happens. If e4, bishop e4, knight d2, everything should work, but bishop c2 is probably the easiest. Knight d2, but now can I play a6, or is he going to sacrifice in my face? He might just sacrifice in my face there. That's actually kind of annoying. This I overlooked. Let's just throw h5 and mate him first. Maybe this was bishop. I'm starting to regret bishop d5. I think this was a poor decision. But in fact, yeah, c4, knight b3, and now I'm actually starting to worry about counterplay. Really worry, actually. So c4, bishop e6, knight b. No, okay, well now he's just blessed, but If c4, bishop e6, knight b3, I think I can play queen b6, c5, bishop b3, but yeah. Okay, so we're taking this one, and then now it's very much over. No more Gegenheim. Queen back on like e7, I guess, and get ready for bishop e6 next. We're skipping e4, sure. Let's go bishop e6, and he should get mated pretty soon. I mean, I have to be a little careful with my own king, but like if bishop e6, knight c5, he's going to be mated first. So yeah, let's take this one, and now just start by kicking this queen away. She looks a bit annoying. Don't want to run into knight c5. So queen e2, and then it's just, yeah, okay, I might not mate him here, but all right, we're going to be boring again. Sorry, guys. I feel like I probably could have mated somehow, but I didn't see it, and I didn't want to burn more time. Let's just keep this nice and simple and straightforward. All right, so c5, anchor the knight, seems pretty nice. Let's go queen e6 and win a pawn. This one. And then knight e2 is fine. And take on d3 and yeah, okay. Alright. Still playing, are we? Let's just do that just because. Alright, good game, dangerous ride. I think we have time for one more. Let's play with Pierre Fitzgerald Conrad Jacobs. It's quite a name. I hope that's your real name because it's a cool one. All right, so see if he can hold the Shankland repertoire. C6, huh? Don't think that's supposed to be great. There's this weird line I know I have to check where I think black just plays like a5 basically. Like white often sets up with rook d1 and a3, and black just goes a5 and then goes like dc, b5, b4. People have played it against me a couple of times. I haven't checked it yet, but it's on my to-do list. So. DC, huh? A lot of people are not being patient about this DC move. Okay, bishop d6, you want. Feels very sketchy to me. Let's castle. Knight d5. Okay. We'll take this and go e4. Take the whole center. Yes. If it takes with the knight, I can't do it as easily, but that's fine. Let's go e4. Felt like someone was drowning you, pawn holder. Yeah, I don't know. At some point, it was a pretty tough position for black. I will definitely agree with that. It looked very depressing. But here, without the dark squared bishop, this knight for black and this weakness of the c5 square, it looks really bad. Like, if you had a bishop on e7 and a knight on d7, and it was not so easy for me to stop c5, and I couldn't play knight d6, so it might not be so bad. But here, this just looks horrible. All right, so knight c5 is fine. I can barely move. Tempted to like throw h4 next. It's not easy for him to stop some direct threats, but yeah, this The biggest problem for black here is that his bishop is just going to be a very bad piece. Alright, so knight d7, and now how do I want to do this? Take a6 and a4 is possible. I kind of like just playing bishop e4 though. Like you cannot, if you take on c5 and I go dc and rook d6, that's not a recipe for happiness for black either. So it's just, yeah, so here I think just put the rook on d6 is fine. Rook on d6. Now let's start mating him. h4, h5. So take this, come back to e4, and clean pawn up and basically mating pretty soon, I think. This bishop on b7 is not very impressive. If he plays knight c8, there is no circumstance where I'm moving that rook. Of course, I'm just going to let him have it. That's just part of chess culture. Rook g8, I'm not sure I understand, so I'm just going to proceed along and try to mate him. Knight g5, threaten knight f7, threaten bishop c6, everything is hanging. Alright, so bishop c6, he has to play g6, which is such a pity to trade off that light squared bishop. Let's go rook d1, I'm in no rush. Rook d7 is coming. He cannot play knight d5 because I will take it and I have mate on h7. Yeah, good game, pawn holder. Thanks for playing. Alright, so he does that, and now I can take c6, but again, I just sort of don't want to. Alright, let's see. Bishop c6, knight f5 or something, or maybe g6. Alright, fine. Let's just be an adult and grab this one. It's a little... I don't love doing it because it sort of wakes up his bishop, but I can play bishop f3 back and then c6. Denmark up a goal? That's what I'm talking about. Alright, so bishop e4, and bishop e4 is just stupid, now you can take, but... Alright, let's go c6. Take all my rooks if you want them. These will be some good pawns. Okay, so I guess I should go queen d2, keep him from taking g5. Rook g7, huh? Alright, so let's defend this one, just slowly squeeze. Next up is like bishop f5 and h6 maybe. Okay, rook g8, real subtle. What does he want to do with that move? He wants to take h5, so let's go king f2, get ready for rook h1. So there, can I not take on f5 and play rook h6? Seems pretty good. f6, huh? Still fighting. Alright, let's go rook h1. Seems like a nice way to finish the game. Alright, I'm gonna... Oh, I don't want to finish this off. Let's just go like g4. That's an unkind move, but it's nice. Stop any taking business there. And now I see a very unkind move. And I'm going to play it because it looks like fun. It's probably dumb, but yeah. Anyhow, that'll do it for today. Good session, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Okay. Have a good one, Vanessa. We'll be in touch. Bye.